Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa, and I'm the director of the Learning Institute for Excellence and Lifestem Academy in Moorhead, Minnesota. In this chemistry course, I will be teaching different concepts from a standard chemistry textbook. I will also be taking students through CLEP chemistry preparation. Before I go further, let me talk a little bit about my background. I grew up in Nigeria, and I was in the science track in high school, meaning that I took 3 years of chemistry in high school, as well as 3 years of physics, 3 years of biology as well. Our science program in Nigeria is quite strong because they want to encourage us to choose a track and then work on that track. So I was in the medicine sort of mindset. I wanted to become a medical doctor. So I took a lot of chemistry, a lot of physics, a lot of biology, mathematics, and advanced mathematics. I came to the United States in 2007 for my bachelor's degree in chemistry. My goal was to become a pediatrician so that I could inspire young people to be the best that they could be, to be who God created them to be. That was my desire. I had read a book by a man called Dr. Ben Carson years prior, or sometime before coming to the U.S., and I was inspired by his story. And I just loved the idea of inspiring young people, being their doctor in the, by day, I called it, and then being their teacher by night or giving talks to different schools. That was my vision for coming to be a pediatrician. When I came to the United States, I got my degree in chemistry. It was pre-med chemistry, so I also took biology and other pieces of getting into medical school. And then I was a philosophy minor. My focus was in the history and philosophy of science within that sphere, but I took classes in introduction to philosophy, I went through introduction to philosophy, philosophy of religion, ethics, as well as epistemology. So I have some background in philosophy as well as in chemistry, which is a strange combination, but part of my heart is also to teach Christian apologetics and show people the relationship between faith and science and how it's because God made the world that we can actually study science. That's part of my heart's desire. And I read books, books on the history of science, books about great men of science, and some of these are just books about scientists, but I love learning about their background and including their stories on faith. Not all of them were Christians, but a lot of them in the foundational side of physics, for example, and astronomy, were people who believed in the God of the Bible. So I love learning about their story and their faith. And so in this chemistry class, we're going to be doing some chemistry, but once in a while you might hear me talk about people in the history of science and in the history of chemistry, as well as the philosophy of science and the philosophy of chemistry, because that was actually part of what I thought about getting a PhD in, and I reached out to a gentleman in that field, and that is a field I find very fascinating. The whole idea of the philosophy of science I find fascinating, but then because I loved chemistry and philosophy, I thought I should put it together. I believe every scientist should take philosophy because it will help them understand the limits of science. That's very important. There are many scientists who think that science can answer all the questions. Now, not everybody thinks that, but there's some people in society that think that, and that's just not true. Science cannot answer questions about the origin fundamentally of the first things. Why is there anything rather than nothing? Science cannot tell you what right and wrong are fundamentally, and science cannot tell you, questions about life after death. Those are not questions that are explored in science. Therefore, I believe every scientist should take philosophy and learn the importance of worldview in affecting how you interpret your, just whatever you're studying even, in terms of, do you believe that DNA, for example, came by chance, or is there an explanation for DNA, right? One of the books I'm going to encourage you to read on the side for fun is a book by Dr. Stephen Meyer called The Return of the God Hypothesis. And I think that's a good overview a book that I would recommend for people to read on the history of science. Dr. Meyer has a degree in the history and philosophy of science from Cambridge University, which Cambridge has given us some very cool chemists and physicists over time. So we're going to talk about chemistry. We're going to talk about the history of science. I went on to, as far as my education, I'll just wrap up with, I went on to get a master's degree in medical physics, and I have a master's in medical health physics. I have taught for about 10 years. But before that, I used to be a tutor in a math lab, and I've also tutored through the years. So I have about 10 to 15 years of experience in teaching math and science, and I just love, I love watching kids get excited about math and science and learning, and ultimately, science makes sense because God created the world. You'll be hearing me talk a lot about the science and faith debate, so stay tuned for that as well. Dr. John Lennox has also written a book called Cosmic Chemistry. It's another one I recommend as well. Whether you want to become a doctor or a nurse, or you just have to take chemistry to fulfill your requirement for graduation, I really want you to come to chemistry with an attitude of, I can do this. And if I'm struggling, I know I can reach out to my instructor or the class TAs. But chemistry is beautiful. Chemistry is wonderful. It does have a lot of math underneath it. And so math and physics come together, and then you have chemistry. So make sure that you're brushing up on your math, on your algebra, on your equation solving skills, on your unit of conversion abilities. Those are going to be very helpful in this chemistry class. I will begin the course with chapter 1, and I will also make time to go over some CLEP practice problems as we go through the course. Thank you for considering this course. I'm looking forward to teaching you over the next 30 weeks of the school year. And if you have any questions along the way, do not hesitate to reach out. amostarfa1@gmail.com is my email, amostarfa1@gmail.com. If you would like to sign up for this course and you haven't signed up already, feel free to send me an email and I'll send you the link for where you can access the videos that I'll be covering in this course. Take care, have a blessed day, and thank you.